Well, hey everyone, welcome back. Tim here, of course, Gamiviti. Fun one today. By request, I'm going to go through all of my air tools, my air up, air down equipment, show you exactly what I carry. I'm going to challenge some assumptions. I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I'm going to show you a couple tricks you probably have not seen before. But at the end of this, I promise I will raise your air up, air down game. It all starts right now. And I do need to start with the bag. I do think the Gamiviti gear bag is the right size for this. Of course, I can label it, put a thing on it. Most importantly, let's dive inside. I'll show you everything I've got in here. I'm going to go as quickly as possible. I do have at the ready a gauge that I trust, non-digital mechanical gauge, and my little deflators. These are the Trailhead deflators. They're not the best in the world, not my favorite, but they're the ones I have, and they're actually working, so we'll play with those in a second. Those are in that bag. I've got, of course, the 4-hose manifold from Thor's Lightning. I'm going to show you a trick on those in a minute. I've got another air hose for when I just need to air up one device or one tire, and with that, I have a separate kind of filler nozzle. Got to have it. I've also got the little Y adapter that goes with the 4-hose manifold and a couple things in these pockets. Let me take a breath. So in this top pocket, this is everything that you would get with one of those ARB repair kits. So, you know, the reamer, the wax, the thing to set the new rubber thing, a bunch of the rubber things, the Allen wrench for that. Everything in that kit will actually fit up here. You don't need to store that big blow molded orange bulky plastic thing. You can actually just fit it all in this nice little zipper pouch. Down below, just a couple other tricks, things I don't use quite so often. I do have a blow valve for dust. This will fill up like an air mattress, couch. This will fill up a stand-up paddleboard if I need to. I got some little doodads here. What else do we got? Couple valve stems, and I've actually got the valve stem install tool. Never used this, had this 20 years, but hey, you break a valve stem on the trail, I got you, buddy. Let's go. I got a couple of tire levers for mountain bikes, little bag, Presta valve adapter, a needle, another ball inflator, and that's pretty much it. Let's dive into this kit. In this little box, I've got some extra valve stem covers. I've got these little caps that have the little removal tool on the end. These are great for motorcycles. I've also got the little bit more official tool for installing those, as well as a bunch of extra little valve stem cores. Why would I have those? Well, I'll tell you. They're actually not for me, probably not for me, but for some of you on the runs that have those little tools, like the ARB Easy Deflate tool that pulls these little guys out of your valve stem and rapidly deflates one tire. As I said before, I'm using these auto deflators. I like this product a lot better, but I think there's a risk to those other ones, which is why so many people are now carrying these as spares. So if you see a guy with an ARB Easy Deflator, ask him, hey, do you also carry spare valve stem cores? And if he says, yeah, because you never know, ask him, why are you putting yourself in that position in the first place? So here comes my rant. And it starts with how I like to air down my rig. Take one of these, take off my valve stem cover, put that right on top of the tire, and then I screw that in. And air starts coming out. And then I walk to the front and do the same thing. So now I'm airing down on 2 tires. Usually don't have a tripod with me, but today, that's okay. We're doing this in real time. Come over here. Put that in front here. And away you go. I'm looking at the timer. That took less than a minute. And we're airing down. And that's my first beef with those easy deflator things, is I'm up here doing other stuff. Right now I'm talking to you. But I could be filling my water, putting on sunscreen, talking to other people on the run, taking a leak. It's a lot of stuff I'd rather be doing than kneeling down here with a little science project, taking those little valve stem cores out one at a time. That's not a project I want to be doing. I'd much rather just be hanging out here listening to a little hiss. And I know from experience about how long it takes, which is literally a few seconds longer than I've been talking right now. So, again, real time here. We'll just take this guy off. I got my gauge. Screw him off. 25 PSI. Go look at the front. Come with me now. Sorry for the motion sickness. What do you know? 25 PSI. Let's look at the other side. 26. So if one's a little higher than the others, while I'm checking it, of course I can just bleed it off right here, or I could screw those little deflators back on and get them down. But the reality is, I'm not that worried about a couple PSI different when I'm aired down. I'm really not worried about it. Now, maybe if we were like the pit crew at NASCAR and we needed to dial in something, then yeah, a couple PSI could make a difference. But geez, for some mountain roads in Colorado, desert cruising in Utah, places I usually go, boy, if we're, low 20s somewhere, it's probably going to be just fine. If I did want to worry about it, of course, I got my single hose here, and I could top off that one tire in a couple of minutes, or maybe just don't talk so much between deflates, and they'd have been a little bit closer. So there you go. That's one rant about those easy deflators. Let me go on to my next one. I do not and would not ever hook up the 4-hose manifold system to air down. It's too much junk to get out. The start of the trail is when you should be buttoning stuff up, not getting things out, and it is just not faster. Again, not concerned with a couple PSI here or there difference. I don't think it matters. And I've just seen a lot of folks. I lead a lot of trails, people, and I'll tell you who is the fastest and who's the slowest when we're airing down. Fastest is going to be the Ston guy, trailhead deflators, all those things. Second place is probably going to be your ARB easy deflate tool guy, if he wasn't distracted and he could focus on all 4 tires. Last place every time is going to be 4-hose guy. We're always going to be waiting on him. The only exception might be there's an easy deflator guy who borrowed Stons from somebody else because he didn't have one to begin with. So that's my rant on that. I don't use this to air down. So let's talk about airing up. For a compressor, I am using a permanent mount. It's the ones that OVS were selling a couple years ago that very much resembled the ARB Twin. They did such a good job with that. ARB told them to quit doing it. So probably for the best, but pretty good compressor. I'm glad I have one on a couple of my rigs. I am using the 4-hose manifold system from Thor's Lightning. I'm going to show you something there that I don't think many people are doing that might just blow you away. And then I'm using their, what do they call this, Y adapter. So a couple tricks here. The first is I've added my own custom label to the back of this that says this reads 5 PSI low. So, hey, it's precise. It's just not accurate. So as long as I know to add 5, if I look at that, I'm good. And then my 2 hose kits, I've actually got one labeled front and the other one labeled rear. So what do I mean by that? Let me show you. Everybody's selling you these hose kits, be it OBS or Moreflate, Thor's Lightning. They're all selling you the same thing, which are 2 identical kits and they think you're going to want to go left and right. Tell me a time, other than NASCAR, when you should run a different PSI left and right. So what I've done is I've taken mine apart, and on my rear kit, I've got both long ones, and on my front kit, I put both short ones. You step over here, I'll give you another look. So you can see the one labeled rear is closest to us, the other one labeled front. Down the line we go. Oh, there's the first tire of the front one. Not quite there yet on the rear one because we got the long hose, but there's the first tire on the rear one. I'm now to the end of the front, and the hose goes on all the way back to the end. So essentially 2 long sections for my rear and 2 short sections for my front. It's working great. It actually would work even better if that final section on the rear was also short, but that's what came in the kit. Swapping these around couldn't be much simpler. You take 2 9/16 or 2 14 millimeters or one of each or a crescent wrench or I don't care. You can twist 2 things, right? You take these apart, you assemble them in a different way, and then you label them as front and rear. That is going to save you a ton of time and actually work better for you. So you're welcome. Let's go on to the next tip. Second tip I'll give you on these 4 hose systems is just understanding how quickly your PSI is going to equalize as you start to hook up multiple tires. What that means is you don't have to get it all set up before you start. Check this out. I walk up to the truck, I turn the compressor on, I hook up the little Y thing, and okay, I grab my front hose and I hook it up. And I go right down to this first tire. And now I'm airing up just 1 tire. It's okay though. Think of that tire not as a tire, but really as an air tank that's going to help me air up the rest of the vehicle. As long as that compressor is running, my air up time is the exact same, whether I hook them all up and then start, or I fiddle around and I just start daisy chaining them as I feel like it. The end time is actually going to be the exact same if you just think about that equalization of pressure. So, walk over, hook up the other side. And now I've got 2 tires going, which is great. And those are already at the same pressure, I promise you. So, that being said, I'll now hook up the back. You don't have to stay for all of it. A hose. So we're airing up, and I'm hanging out, and not bent over. That's one of the coolest things about this. I have timed this many, many times against onboard air, against the fast inflators, and the 1-at-a-timer guys, and I'm always right there. I'm not necessarily the fastest, but it's not a race, definitely not the slowest. What's cool about this setup, though, I can peak. Right now that says 29.8. I remember I can add 5, so I should be getting close to about 33, 34. Neat thing, let's go to this other tire. I'll show you one other great trick about this 4 hose system. And that's the point that at any point in the process, I can just interrupt any one of these and check it with the gauge that I actually trust. So here we go. Put this on there. That says 35 exactly. I like that. But you know what I'd like even more? If that said 36. So I'll let that go for like another second or 2, and I can just check it again. Close enough. Okay, here we go. Pull this off again. That says 36. I love it. Now, walk over to the other front tire. And I unhook it. Spoiler alert, guess what that one says? You nailed it. 36 right there, maybe 36 and a half. Took me a minute to walk over. But here's the coolest part of this setup. I've unhooked the front and my backs are still going. Because like most of you, you like to be a little bit higher in back than you do in front. So fronts are the same, 36, 36 and a half. By now I'm probably at that 37, maybe 38 in back. Let's go check it out. Here at the back tire, pop this off. Ooh, 40. I talk too much. I'm gonna go hit the other side real quick. And I'm cool with 40 actually. I'm leaving on a trip tomorrow. This thing is full. Really good with that kind of 36 and a half to 40 balance front and rear. And that can be achieved very, very simply by just switching around your 4-hose manifold. Instead of a left and a right, make yourself a front and rear. Hook up the front, hook up the back in any order, but then as you can disconnect them once you hit the right one in the front, and then you have a little extra time, start putting the front away. Now you got your back dialed in, ready to go. Getting things buttoned up here. I do really like these quick disconnect ends that they put on this manifold. They work so well. You kind of have to get it on there really good, but once you do, it is locked on and it doesn't leak. I love it. As you start to wind this up, remember the size of a bag that it needs to actually go inside. That's going to save you a little bit of time, and it's just going to look a lot cleaner going in. Again, I don't love CO2. 20 years ago when it kind of came out, it was cool because, I can run an air tool, but you just don't. You don't need that. And I've always run out of CO2 with one and a half tires to go. You never really know. And I just never want to have another project before I'm trying to go out on a trip. I don't have to go fill a CO2 tank or worry about that. And it's another thing to have in the truck. So anyway, that's my little anti-CO2 rant. You've heard my anti-deflator rant. What else haven't I complained about here? Let me think for a second. Oh yeah, air and down. I really like these kind of set it and forget it screw-on deflators. They work reasonably well. I often don't wait until they stop. I usually peak and call it good. I think mine are set at like 18, but I always seem to stop in the the kind of the low 20s there for most of my rigs and most of the things I'm doing. But that can vary based on your rig and what you're trying to do that day. Don't love those speedy, easy deflators. I just feel like worrying about that little valve stem core is a thing I don't need to have in my brain, even though I do have spares. I don't hear a lot of people shooting those out across the desert, so it probably doesn't happen. But again, I don't know. I don't pull a spark plug unless I feel like it's absolutely necessary. I feel like that valve stem core, just let that thing sit in that valve stem nice and happy where it belongs. And I don't use these 4-hose manifolds to air down. I just feel like it's too much stuff to get out and put away, and a couple PSI difference between tires when I'm out kind of bombing in the desert or wheeling probably doesn't make much of a difference. If it does, it's pretty easy to squirt a little air in one or take a little air out of another. And then in my kit, I've got everything I need to air myself down, air myself up, air other people up and down, as well as air up stand-up paddle boards and bikes. If I see a bike with a flat tire on the trail, guarantee I'm going to ask him if he wants help, offer compressed air, probably some water as well. That's just being a good person out there as we, share these trails with everybody. So hopefully you're doing the same thing. Man, fun one. Thank you to the folks who asked me to do this. I enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope maybe you'll think about this a little bit differently. And of course, if I'm doing it wrong, tell me. I got to learn. I got to do better. Tell me what else you want to see in these videos as well as products. And I promise you, I will see you on the next one.